The marriage no one expected. The air was thick with tension inside the grand hall of the alien embassy, a place where no human had ever felt welcome before. A long table stretched across the room, covered in holographic scrolls and glowing symbols that seemed to pulse with a strange energy. The hum of alien voices filled the space, a mixture of harsh clicks and melodic tones that made David's skin crawl. David sat at one end of the table, hands trembling slightly as he stared at the contract before him. The document was unlike anything he had ever seen, etched in iridescent ink, shifting between languages he didn't understand. Beside him stood Zal-Ira, the alien daughter he was supposed to marry. She wasn't beautiful by human standards. Her skin was rough and patchy, with patches of dark scales. Her eyes were large, almost bug-like, with irises that flickered like fire. To the humans watching from behind the thick glass walls, she appeared ugly. But to her people, her appearance was a mark of strength and survival. David swallowed. Hard. He never imagined his life would come to this, forced into a marriage with an alien woman, in a political move he barely understood. The room buzzed with silent judgment, both from the alien council and from the few human diplomats who had been reluctantly invited. "Sign it," a voice commanded. It was sharp, cold, and unmistakably alien. David looked up. A tall figure stepped forward, the alien patriarch, cloaked in regal robes that shimmered with a faint blue light. His eyes burned into David's, demanding compliance. I don't understand," David stammered. "Why me? Why this?" The patriarch's expression was unreadable. "You are the chosen. The union between our worlds must be sealed." David glanced sideways at Zal-Ira. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes held a strange sadness. Before he could reply, a sudden explosion rocked the building. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and the gathered crowd erupted into chaos. Guards rushed in, weapons drawn. David's heart pounded in his chest. Zal-Ira grabbed his arm. "We don't have time. Sign now or lose everything." His hand shook as he took the glowing pen and touched it to the contract. The moment the ink met the page, a surge of energy coursed through him. Images flashed in his mind, alien cities, secret chambers, and something he couldn't quite grasp. A legacy, a secret inheritance tied to this marriage. Suddenly the doors burst open. Figures clad in dark armor stormed the hall. Shouts echoed. David and Zal-Ira ducked behind the table as blaster fire lit up the room. "We're under attack!" someone yelled. David's mind raced. He barely knew this alien woman beside him, yet now they were fighting for their lives together. The weight of the contract and the inheritance suddenly felt very real. As the attackers closed in, Zal-Ira whispered urgently, "There's something you need to know, something that will change everything." Before she could say more, a powerful blast threw them apart. David's world went dark. David awoke in a dimly lit chamber, the metallic scent of the room filling his nostrils. He was strapped to a cold slab, his head throbbing. Zal-Ira knelt beside him, her rough hand surprisingly gentle. "You're alive," she said softly. "Where am I?" David groaned. "In the heart of my people's stronghold," she replied. "They want the inheritance, and they will stop at nothing." David tried to sit up but winced. "What inheritance? What have I gotten into?" Zal-Ira's eyes darkened. "A secret that could change the fate of our worlds, and you're now a part of it." The room's door hissed open. Figures in alien armor entered, but surprisingly, they didn't attack. "We must protect you," one said in broken English. "Enemies come for the prize." David looked at Zal-Ira, the ugly daughter who now seemed more fierce and determined than ever. "I don't understand why me," David whispered. "Because," Zal-Ira replied, "sometimes the ugliest choices hold the greatest power." The story would continue to reveal the culture clash, the mystery behind the inheritance, and build suspense as David and Zalira navigate their dangerous new reality. Secrets behind Alien. Beauty. David's eyes blinked open again, adjusting slowly to the soft bluish light of the chamber. The cold restraints were gone, but the heaviness in his limbs reminded him that he wasn't free yet. Sitting up carefully, he scanned the room. Zalira was nearby, sitting silently on a low bench, her eyes fixed on some distant thought. "How long have I been out?" David asked, his voice rough. "2 cycles," she answered. "You've had time to recover, but the danger hasn't passed." David frowned. "I still don't understand. Why did your people force me into this marriage? Why me? And why do you call yourself ugly?" Zalira shifted, a faint bitterness in her tone. "Because that's what my people say, but it's not what I see." She stood and moved toward a nearby window, a shimmering pane that looked out onto a sprawling alien city with towering spires and glowing streets. "Our society values beauty differently. What you call ugly is survival. I carry the marks of battles my ancestors fought, scars that tell stories of strength." David watched her carefully. "But why force a human to marry you? What does this inheritance mean?" Zalira sighed. "The inheritance is more than wealth or land. It's a secret technology, ancient knowledge passed down from our forebears. It has the power to shift the balance of power between species. That's why some factions want to control it at any cost." David's mind raced. "And you? What role do you play in all this?" "I'm the key to unlocking it," she said, softly. "And the reason why my people see me as an outcast. They fear what I represent." David's heart ached at the vulnerability in her voice. For the first time, he saw beyond the alien features, the loneliness, the burden she carried. That night, David and Zalira sat together in the small chamber. The tension between them slowly thawed as she began to share the story of her people. "Our home world, Vela, was once a place of harmony," Zalira began. "But over time, power struggles tore us apart. The ruling class grew obsessed with purity and beauty, casting out anyone who didn't fit their ideals." David frowned. "That sounds a lot like human history." Zalira nodded. "Yes, but the consequences here were more severe. I was born with what they call the mark, a genetic mutation that makes me different. They say it's a curse, but I believe it's a gift." She paused, then reached into a small pouch and pulled out a shimmering crystal. "This is the inheritance, the heart of Vela. It's a device that holds the knowledge and power of our ancestors." David took the crystal, feeling a faint warmth radiate from it. Why marry a human to protect it? The patriarch believed a human outsider would be less likely to be targeted by our internal enemies, Zalira explained. "But it's more than that. You represent hope, a bridge between our worlds." David looked at her, surprised. By her words, the ugly alien daughter was telling him that their marriage was more than politics. It was a chance for something new. The next day, David was introduced to the complexities of Vela's society. He saw how the elite controlled every aspect of life, how fear and prejudice ruled the streets. But he also met ordinary aliens, some kind and curious, others wary. A young alien named Tresh became an unexpected ally. Tresh explained in broken English that many on Vela were tired of the endless power struggles. "We want peace," he said, "but the inheritance is a weapon, or a tool. Whoever controls it, controls everything." David realized that the inheritance was a double-edged sword. Protecting it meant protecting not just Zalira and himself, but the future of 2 species. That evening, David narrowly escaped an assassination attempt, While walking through the city with Zalira, shadows moved quickly from the alleys, a blur of motion, a flash of blaster fire, and David felt a sharp pain in his side. He stumbled but didn't fall. Zalira's eyes flashed with fury as she threw herself between him and the attacker, sending the assailant fleeing with a powerful blast of energy. Panting, David clutched his wound. "Why? Who wants me dead?" Zalira's face darkened. "Because they fear the inheritance and what you represent." The danger was real. The fragile trust between them grew stronger in the face of threats. David felt something stirring inside, not just fear, but determination. Back in their safe room, Zalira tended to David's wound. The tension broke as she smiled faintly. "You're stronger than you look, human," David smiled back, "and you're more than just your scars." Their hands touched briefly. A spark of connection passed between them, fragile but genuine. As days passed, David learned more about the political factions vying for control. The Patriarch's Conservative Council wanted to bury the inheritance forever to maintain the status quo. Rebels sought to use it to overthrow them. And somewhere in the middle, David and Zalira stood, caught between duty, survival, and a growing bond. One evening, Zalira shared a secret she'd kept hidden. "I am not just the ugly daughter. I am heir to the throne." David stared. "Why hide that?" "Because revealing it means war," she said, "and many want me dead before I can claim my right." David's mind spun. Their marriage was not just a political arrangement. It was a shield, a lifeline. The part ended with a tense moment. A message intercepted revealing a traitor close to them, someone feeding information to their enemies. David looked at Zalira. "We need to be careful. If we fail, it won't just be us. It'll be the future of both our worlds." She nodded solemnly. "Then we fight. Together." Cliffhanger. As they prepared to face the looming threat, the door hissed open. A shadowy figure stepped inside. An old friend or a new enemy? The fate of the inheritance and their lives hung in the balance. The betrayal within. The door slid open with a hiss, and David's heart pounded fiercely in his chest. A figure stepped inside, cloaked in shadows. For a moment neither of them spoke, the weight of the silence pressing down like a physical force. Then the figure spoke, voice low but familiar. "David." "It's me, Kalen." David's brow furrowed. Kalen was someone he never expected to see here on this distant alien world. A fellow human, someone he'd trusted once. "Kalen?" David asked, rising cautiously. "How did you find me?" Kalen's eyes flickered with unease. "It wasn't easy. I've been tracking you for months. There's something happening here, something that could change everything for humanity and Vela. We need to talk." Zalira stood silently beside David, her gaze sharp and suspicious. David motioned Kalen forward, and they sat in the dim light of the chamber. Kalen wasted no time. "I'm part of a secret human organization, one that has been monitoring alien activity across the galaxy. When I heard about the inheritance you've come into, I knew it was bigger than anyone imagined. It's not just technology. It's a power source, ancient and unlike anything humans have seen." David leaned in, the pieces starting to connect. "So this isn't just an alien political feud. It's about power that could tip the balance between species, and maybe more." Kalen nodded grimly. "Exactly. But there's more. The group I work with fears that if the inheritance falls into the wrong hands, either alien or human, it could lead to catastrophic war." Zalira's eyes narrowed. "And you? Where do you stand?" Kalen glanced at her, then back at David. "I'm here to help, but you have to trust me." David hesitated. Trust was fragile here. But with the growing threats, allies were hard to find. "We don't have much choice," he said quietly. "What do you propose?" For the next few hours, Kalen explained the organization's plans to keep the inheritance safe. They wanted to extract the heart of Vela and study it in a secure facility on Earth. But the risk was immense. Rival, alien factions, political enemies, and even some humans who wanted to exploit the power for themselves would stop at nothing to seize it. David and Zalira exchanged a look. Their marriage, once a mere formality, was now the linchpin in a battle spanning two worlds. Days passed, but the sense of danger only grew. Messages intercepted hinted at spies within their closest circles. David's trust eroded, suspicion gnawed at every encounter. One evening, as David walked alone through the dim corridors of the alien city, he was ambushed. Two figures emerged from the shadows, alien mercenaries armed with energy blades. David fought fiercely, adrenaline sharpening his senses. Just as he was about to be overwhelmed, a flash of blue light erupted, and the attackers fell incapacitated. Zalira stood nearby, her eyes blazing. "You must be more careful, David. The enemies are closer than you think." Back at their quarters, David confronted Kalen. "I don't know if I can trust anyone anymore." Kalen's voice was steady. "Trust has to start somewhere. But you're right. Someone close to you is betraying you." David's mind raced. Who could it be? Tresh, one of Zalira's advisors, or someone else entirely? Meanwhile, Zalira prepared to reveal her true heritage to a select few allies. "The throne is mine by right," she said, "but to claim it, I must expose the traitor who seeks to destroy us." Her advisors exchanged glances. The room was tense with anticipation. "We cannot afford mistakes," Zalira warned. "The future of Vela and humanity depends on what we do next." As the investigation deepened, David and Zalira grew closer, their bond forged through shared danger and uncertain futures. Yet every step forward was shadowed by doubt. One night, David found a hidden message on his communicator, a cryptic warning: "Beware the one who smiles with you." Cliffhanger. At a grand gathering held to unite allies, Zalira stepped forward to address the crowd. But just as she spoke her first words, a deafening explosion shattered the hall. Chaos erupted. Amidst the smoke and screams, David's eyes locked onto a familiar face, the traitor revealed, shadows of deception. The blast rocked the grand hall, a thunderous roar that ripped through the silence like a storm. Flames leapt from the shattered walls, and the air filled with choking smoke and terrified screams. The carefully constructed alliance, the fragile hope for peace, was crumbling in an instant. David's heart pounded as he shielded Zalira from flying debris. Around them, chaos reigned, shouts of panic, footsteps pounding, the crash of falling furniture. His mind raced to understand who would dare strike at the heart of such an important gathering. As the smoke cleared just enough to see, David's eyes locked on the figure that emerged from the shadows, a face he thought he could never forget. It was Tresh. Tresh's expression was cold, incalculating, a stark contrast to the man David had thought was a loyal ally. The betrayal stung sharper than any weapon. "Why?" David demanded, pushing through the confusion as he confronted Tresh. Tresh smiled, but it was a cruel, mocking smile. "You were naive to trust so easily. The inheritance isn't just power, it's a weapon, and I intend to wield it." Zalira stepped forward, her voice steady but full of fury. "You'll never claim the throne with treachery, Tresh. Your rebellion ends here." Tresh laughed, raising a device that pulsed with energy. "You misunderstand. This is only the beginning." Suddenly, the device unleashed a wave of energy that knocked everyone off their feet. David struggled to rise, the world spinning around him. When he finally looked up, Tresh had vanished into the smoke, leaving destruction and confusion in his wake. Zalira quickly rallied her guards to help the wounded. "We must find him," she said urgently. "This attack was meant to destabilize Vela and to break our alliance with Earth." David nodded, still shaken but resolute. "He's after the heart of Vela. We can't let him succeed. Over." The next days, David and Zalira led a desperate hunt through the labyrinthine undercity, chasing shadows and rumors. Every step brought them closer to a truth far more sinister than they had imagined. Kalen reappeared, bearing grim news. Tresh is working with a faction from the Ziran Collective, an ancient enemy of Vela. They want the inheritance to fuel a war that could destroy both our worlds. David clenched his fists. "We have to stop them, no matter the cost." Meanwhile, tensions between the humans and aliens in the city escalated. Fear of another attack fanned the flames of mistrust. Protests erupted, and old wounds reopened. Zalira struggled to keep her people united, but even her authority was challenged. "We must stand together," she urged during a tense council meeting. "Our enemy thrives on division." David watched her, admiration and concern mingling in his heart. Her strength was remarkable, but the burden was heavy. In a secret meeting with trusted advisors, Zalira revealed a startling plan. "To protect the heart, I will have to undergo the rite of ascension, a dangerous ritual that will bind me permanently to Vela's power." David's eyes widened. "But that could cost you everything." "I have no choice," she said firmly. "If I fail, the throne will fall to chaos, and Tresh will seize control." Kalen warned, "The ritual is ancient and unpredictable. Many who attempted it lost their minds or worse." Zalira met their gazes. "I accept the risk." As preparations for the rite began, David found himself questioning everything: loyalty, love, and the sacrifices needed to save two worlds. One night, while standing on a balcony overlooking the city, Zalira spoke softly. "I didn't expect to find someone like you, David. Someone who sees beyond the alien and the human, who believes in a future together." David took her hand. "We'll face this together, no matter what happens." But the peace was shattered once more. Intelligence reached them that Tresh had captured a group of human scientists, the very ones working to understand the inheritance's power. David's jaw tightened. If they hurt them, all hope is lost. Zalira's eyes burned with determination. "Then we rescue them. Tonight." Under the cover of darkness, David, Zalira, and a select team infiltrated Tresh's stronghold. The air was thick with danger, each shadow a potential threat. They found the scientists imprisoned in a cold, metallic chamber, guarded by heavily armed mercenaries. The rescue was swift but brutal. David fought with desperate fury, Zalira unleashing alien powers that shimmered like starlight. Just as they were about to escape, Tresh appeared, blocking their path. "You can't run from destiny," he sneered. "The inheritance will be mine." A fierce battle erupted. Energy clashed against steel, wills tested to the limit. In the midst of the fight, David glimpsed Tresh's weakness, a hidden device controlling his power. Seizing the chance, David lunged, smashing the device. Tresh screamed in rage and vanished. In a blinding flash, the team escaped, battered but victorious. Back in the safety of the palace, Zalira prepared for the rite. David watched as she entered the ancient chamber, heart heavy with hope and fear. The chamber glowed with a mysterious light as the ritual began. The air hummed with power. Suddenly, Zalira gasped, her body convulsing as the energy surged through her. David reached out, but the light enveloped her completely. When it faded, Zalira stood transformed, radiant, powerful but changed. She smiled weakly. "The throne is mine, but the fight is far from over." Cliffhanger. As they celebrated the hard-won victory, a hidden message echoed through the palace. A chilling warning from an unknown source. "You may have won the battle, but the war is just beginning. The true enemy is still in the shadows, waiting. The true enemy revealed. The warning hung in the air like a ghost, unseen, but undeniably real. David paced the chamber where Zalira had just completed the rite of ascension. Her radiant new form shimmered faintly in the low light, but the weight of what lay ahead pressed heavily on them both. "We were so focused on Tresh," David said quietly. "We never imagined there was someone, or something, pulling the strings from the shadows." Zalira's eyes, glowing with otherworldly power, met his. "Vela's enemies are ancient. The Jiran collective was only a symptom. There's a greater threat, one that has waited centuries for the chance to strike." Days passed with tense urgency. Intelligence reports trickled in from across the galaxy, revealing cryptic hints of a force operating in secret, manipulating events to ignite war and chaos. David and Zalira worked tirelessly to uncover its identity. One evening, Kalen burst into their war room, his face pale but determined. "We found it," he announced. "The organization calling themselves the Veil, a covert network, blending alien and human agents. They aim to seize the inheritance and rewrite history." David frowned. "Veil? How deep does their reach go?" "Everywhere," Kalen said grimly. "They've infiltrated governments, military, even scientific circles. Their goal isn't just power, it's control over life itself." The revelation hit David like a storm. The Veil wasn't just a rebel faction, it was a dark web entwined in the very fabric of their worlds. Zalira's new power granted her unprecedented insight. She accessed ancient Velan archives, seeking clues to combat this shadow war. "There's an artifact," she explained. "The celestial prism. It can amplify the heart's power to protect or destroy, depending on who wields it. We must find it before the Veil does." The quest led them to a forgotten moon, orbiting a distant star, a place rumored to be the prism's resting place. The journey was perilous. Hostile terrain and unpredictable storms battered their ship. David stood by Zalira's side on the barren landscape, the alien sky above swirling with vibrant colors. The ruins ahead whispered of long-lost civilizations and secrets waiting to be unearthed. As they explored the crumbling temple, traps and puzzles challenged their every step, testing both intellect and trust. Deep within the temple's heart chamber, they found the celestial prism, a crystalline structure pulsating with raw energy, but the Veil was already there. A fierce confrontation erupted. Veil operatives emerged from the shadows, weapons blazing. David and Zalira fought side by side, their bond strengthening as they faced overwhelming odds. Amid the chaos, a Veil leader revealed himself, a mysterious figure cloaked in shadows named Kyle. His voice was cold, dripping with menace. "You underestimate us. The inheritance, the prism, they belong to the Veil. We will reshape the future." Zalira unleashed her newfound powers, light radiating from her fingertips. David used both human ingenuity and alien technology to counterattack, but Kale was cunning, wielding dark energy that twisted the temple walls. In the final moments, David managed to grasp the prism. Its power surged through him, a wave of warmth and strength unlike anything he had felt before. With a shout, he channeled the energy toward Kale, breaking his hold. Kyle fell back, defeated but not destroyed. "This isn't over," he hissed, disappearing into the shadows. Breathing heavily, David and Zalira secured the prism. As they prepared to leave the temple, David turned to Zalira. "The Veil is more dangerous than we thought," she nodded. "But now, we have a chance. Together." Back on Vela, tensions continued to rise. The alliance between humans and Velans was fragile, strained by fear and mistrust. David spoke at a council meeting, urging unity. "Our greatest strength is each other. The Veil thrives on division. We cannot let them win." Zalira stood beside him, her presence a symbol of hope. Yet, even as they fought external threats, internal betrayal lurked. One of their closest, Advisors was revealed to be a Veil agent, leaking secrets and undermining efforts. The shock cut deep, shaking the foundation of their fragile trust. David confronted the traitor in a private confrontation. "How could you?" he asked, hurt and disbelief coloring his voice. The traitor smirked. "Power demands sacrifices. You'll understand soon enough." With the prism's power secured but danger growing, David and Zal-Ira knew their battle was far from over. They prepared for the inevitable, a war not just for inheritance or power, but for the soul of their worlds. Cliffhanger. As the Veil's influence spread like a shadow across the stars, a secret transmission reached David's private communicator, a cryptic message that chilled him to the bone. "You fight for peace, but the true war begins within. Trust no one." The legacy of unity. The message lingered in David's mind like a dark prophecy. You fight for peace, but the true war begins within. Trust no one. It echoed through every decision, every look exchanged, and every plan made. The Veil's infiltration had proven deeper than anyone imagined, turning friend into foe and trust into suspicion. David sat alone in the command chamber aboard the Veilan flagship, the celestial prism resting on a pedestal beside him, its gentle pulse a reminder of the fragile balance they held. Zal-Ira entered quietly, her eyes glowing softly with the light of her ascended power, yet the tension was evident even in her regal presence. "We cannot falter now," she said, voice steady, but urgent. "The Veil's reach is vast, but so is the strength we share. Humans and Veilans, together, we are more than they ever expected." David nodded, rubbing his temples. "We've lost too much already. Allies, trust, time. If the Veil wins, it won't just be about power. It will be the end of everything we believe in." Outside the flagship, the stars stretched endlessly, a silent testament to the countless worlds hanging in the balance. Their fight was no longer just about an inheritance or ancient legacies. It was about the future of two species intertwined. By fate and courage, the council was called once again, but this time it was different. The divisive voices of suspicion and blame were replaced by a shared resolve. David stepped forward to address the assembly. "We have faced betrayal and loss, but our true enemy thrives on division. The Veil cannot be defeated by force alone. We must unite our strengths, human resilience and Veilan wisdom, to rebuild trust and protect what we hold dear." Zal-Ira added, "The celestial prism symbolizes that unity. It is a source of incredible power, but also a reminder that our greatest power comes from standing together." The room erupted in cautious applause, the first true sign of hope in many cycles, but even as unity blossomed, the Veil struck again. Sabotage in the communications grid, assaults on outlying colonies, and whispers of a shadow leader orchestrating chaos from an unknown base. The Veil was desperate, their grip slipping but their will unbroken. David and Zal-Ira prepared for the final mission, to infiltrate the Veil's hidden stronghold and end the threat once and for all. Their team was small but formidable, a blend of human ingenuity and Veilan abilities. Among them was Kalen, whose loyalty was unwavering, and Mira, a brilliant strategist who had once doubted but now believed fiercely in their cause. The journey was perilous. Navigating through veils of dark energy and bypassing deadly traps, they finally reached the heart of the Veil's lair, a fortress carved inside an asteroid, concealed by advanced cloaking technology. Inside, the air was thick with tension. Every shadow seemed alive, every corner held danger. At the core, they confronted Kale, the Veil's elusive leader. No longer a mere agent of chaos, he revealed his true form, a hybrid creature born from forbidden experiments combining alien genetics with human technology. His eyes burned with hatred and ambition. "You think this ends here?" Kyle snarled. "I am evolution's next step, the future of all species. The inheritance you fought for is mine by right." David stepped forward, heart pounding but voice steady. "True strength isn't in domination or fear, it's in connection, our ability to grow through understanding, not control." A fierce battle ensued. Kyle wielded dark energy fused with alien tech, pushing them to the brink. But the celestial prism responded to the unity between David and Zal-Ira, glowing brighter with every act of trust and cooperation. David channeled the prism's power, not to destroy, but to heal and reveal. Light spread through the lair, unraveling. Kyle's twisted form stripping away the darkness that corrupted him. In that moment, Kyle faltered, his vision clouded by the undeniable truth of compassion and cooperation. As the battle ended, the fortress began to collapse. The team escaped with seconds to spare, leaving behind the ruin of a broken empire. Back aboard the flagship, a weary but victorious David looked at Zal-Ira. This inheritance, it wasn't just wealth or power, he said softly. It was a legacy of unity, a chance to rewrite what it means to be family, across worlds. Zal-Ira smiled, her eyes reflecting hope. And now we build a future where no one is judged by appearances or origins, where even an ugly daughter can inherit the stars. In the months that followed, the alliance between humans and Vaylans flourished. Old wounds began to heal, and new friendships formed in the spirit of shared purpose. David and Zal-Ira's story became a legend, a reminder that true power comes not from inheritance alone, but from the courage to embrace difference and the strength to fight together. The lesson: true inheritance is not measured by wealth, titles, or bloodlines, but by the bonds we create, the trust we nurture, and the courage to see beyond surface judgments. The greatest power humanity and alien kind can wield lies in unity, compassion, and the shared dream of a future where all can thrive. The end.